If you're an RCB fan who thought at the beginning of the tournament that RCB would be tied at the top of the table with the same number of points at the midway stage of the tournament, you were one brave fellow, and I hope you'd bought a lottery ticket at that point in time. This is Uninvited Opinions, and welcome to another episode of End of Days Play. Nags, I don't think we predicted at the beginning of the tournament that, at the midway stage, RCB would be equal with Mumbai or Delhi at the same points.
Yeah, strange things are happening in this IPL, and I think RCB's resurgence is one such thing. And I, for one, for sure, is not complaining because the quality of cricket that they are producing is undeniable. So, fair play to them. So, let them rejoice this position, and I think they'll go strength to strength from here on.
Absolutely. And I think after a couple of days where we've had some close games, we've gone back to the original structure of the tournament, bat first, put up a big total, and then, the chasing team stumbles. RCB actually began quite carefully, although they maintained a decent tempo. It's not like they got off the blocks really quickly. The first couple of overs, they took the initiative, tried to up the scoring rate, but then the KKR bowler sort of pulled it back towards the middle overs. First Cummins and then Russell sort of pulled it back, and then Varun Chakravarti was absolutely splendid in his 4 overs, conceding only 25 runs. And there seemed a point in time where Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers, in the first 10 balls of his innings, they were struggling to get the timing right. But then AB de Villiers did what only he could. He just went ballistic.
Somebody just went somewhere and flicked a switch. I don't know where that switch was, but AB de Villiers, even after those first initial phase of not being able to time the ball, suddenly started timing everything off the middle and things started flying all over the ground. So I felt it was not just a decent bowling effort, but I thought a very impressive bowling effort by KKR for most of the innings. I think for the first 16 overs of the innings. And you talked about Russell pulling it back and Chakravarti having a good spell. I felt even Nagarkoti actually did a very commendable job for the first 3 overs of his spell, bowling those cutters at consistent intervals, and then using his actual pace-up delivery as a surprise delivery. So at one stage, I would have thought RCB would have been happy getting to 165, but it's thanks to that one man's brilliance and ended up with 195.
Yeah, and de Villiers basically took the pitch out of the equation. It was interesting to see the contrasting approaches that Kohli and de Villiers were trying to take. Kohli was trying to force the ball. He was trying to put energy into the ball, whereas de Villiers was sat back, waiting for the ball to come with him, and then just let those magic hands do the work. I thought Nagarkoti, I felt for him. Unfortunately, he bowled 3 wonderful overs. He was going at just a run a ball, but I think he probably did the slow ball, overdid the slow ball, the cutters. After the first couple of balls in that over, you knew that de Villiers had sized him up and he was going to go big. And my word, did he go ballistic? And they spared no one. And Cummins went for runs, Nagarkoti went for runs. Andre Russell, who's done a fabulous job in this tournament, bowling at the death for KKR, he was taken for over 50 in his 4 overs. So it was just some fabulous hitting. And once they sort of reached that, I think it set them to a very strong total. And KKR, unfortunately, today just didn't bring their A game, when it came to batting. I think KKR still have a few chinks in their batting armory, especially to sort of iron out, because I don't think their batting has consistently got them 200 runs at any point in time in this tournament.
Agreed. But I think we must reserve our praise for the RCB bowling as well. Yes, KKR did not approach the chase necessarily with the same intent, but they never got the tempo going. But I think it's also largely due to the discipline and the relentless pressure from the RCB bowlers, may it be the pacers in that power play or the spinners who came later on. It was completely a chase, choked out of breath. And any batsman who tried to force his way out of this choke ended up falling. So it was a complete team performance for RCB. And of course, a few questions to answer for KKR going forward.
Again, for RCB fans, I'm going to let this sink in. We are at the midway stage and we're praising your bowlers, right? Your bowlers, not your batsmen.
For the second game that I can recall, Washington Sundar was strangling the batsman because of not giving that length that they could swing. It happened to Duplessis and Watson in the game against CSK. And again tonight, it was Nitish Rana who was struggling to. The urgency was there. It was there for everyone to see that KKR needed to move on. But there was nothing that was hittable in Nitish Rana's arc, and then got out bowled. And then the lack of run flow resulted in Shubman Gill attempting a suicidal run, and then Chehal was beautifully flighting the ball. Um, and there was a very important point made on air. It is not just important for spinners to slow down the pace. You can still get hit for runs if it is actually so slow, but it also needs to dip. And probably his trajectory was such that the ball was dropping in front of the batsman, not getting to that length, hittable length. And it was beautiful, dragging the batsman forward, costed Dinesh Karthik his wicket. And then the pressure was so much that Owen Morgan attempted a shot that wasn't there. So it was a completely a strangulating effort from RCB spinners, which was actually on the back of a very impressive pacey spell by both Saini and Chris Morris. So I think they had a complete bowling team effort. Virat Kohli will be completely overjoyed. So needless to say, and actually this augurs well for their confidence going forward for how open the tournament will now end up in the second half.
Absolutely. So I think they've identified their template. It's bat first, get a good total on the board, and then give their bowlers something to defend. And they've also had one game where they've won chasing, I think, at Abu Dhabi, which would again, I think, give them confidence going into the second half of the tournament. So let's see how that pans out. Our player for the game, there's only one choice today. Undoubtedly, it is AB de Villiers. He was the one who basically altered the face of the game and put RCB on the winning track. So there's no doubts about that. As we said earlier, it's the halfway stage of the tournament. All teams have played 7 games each. Let's take a look at the table standings as they are. So at the top, you've got Mumbai Indians and Delhi Capitals and the Royal Challengers Bangalore all tied at the same points. However, there's a slight difference in their net run rate, so that's reflecting in their order. Rounding up at the bottom of the table, you've got Kings 11 at the 8th position and the Chennai Super Kings at the 7th position. Now, if the past IPLs have been anything to go by, we've seen that the second half always produces a mad scramble. So I'm hoping with the pitches slowing down a little bit, with the bowlers coming into the game a little more, that makes for a more even contest. And I'm hoping that we do witness a match scramble in the second half of the tournament, and the table looks hopefully completely different when it comes to the end of the league phase.
I was just waiting for that all your description leading up to a prediction that CSK moves up the table basically somehow.
Well, never rule them out.
Yes. And what it shows, the table standing shows, is that the mid table is again as crowded as we have seen over the past edition, and therefore anything can happen. It's still a very open tournament. Nobody has so far run away with all the points. It's still, I mean, miraculously, if Kings 11 string a series of victories, who knows what could happen? And it would actually mean that they are basically stealing points of somebody else. So it's got all the makeup for a very interesting second half of the tournament.
Absolutely, and with the transfer window opening up right now, it's going to be interesting to see how teams sort of react to it. They've had 7 games each to sort of look at the squad composition, identify what's working and what's not working, and we're going to be covering that in a separate episode tomorrow. So folks, those of you who are watching, stay tuned for a separate video on that tomorrow. If teams use it right, it could have a positive impact on their performance in the second half.
Yes, very interesting to see how teams choose to alter the balance, and if they have a mutual agreement with the other team with whom they want to trade the players. So yeah, makes for very interesting viewing and seeing how any new influx of a new talent, whether having warmed the bench on one side, whether they get some game time on the other side.
So looking at tomorrow's game, it's between the Chennai Super Kings and the Sunrisers Hyderabad at Dubai. Both teams are coming off a loss, and SRH, more so from a game that they felt that they should have won. What's your prediction tomorrow, Nax? Who are you going to back?
A mid-table clash, and we've just talked about how crucial now every game is going to be going forward. and there's not much separating the two sides in terms of the points. I'm for once backing Chennai Super Kings tomorrow. So let's see. It will just make the table more interesting.
Well, I'm going to hold my predictions back for this one. So let's see how the game pans out tomorrow. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel to keep more videos coming your way. And as always, stay tuned for another episode tomorrow. See ya.